these people have got downs that would be unimaginable to 99% of the rest of the world. I mean, how do you, coach them on the comeback?
Well, the first thing you do is you don't speak, you listen.
Guys, Matt Haycox here, and welcome to a very, very special episode of the Matt Haycox Show, where I've got a guest who needs absolutely no introduction. I have with me today Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York. Duchess, thank you very much for being here. Like I say, there's so many accolades and so many attributes, we can add to your name and career. You're a businesswoman, you're a best-selling author, you've got a YouTube channel, speaker, producer, wellness advocate, and that's before we even talk about mother and grandmother too. So thank you for sparing some busy time. I mean, how do you fit it all in?
Well, the first thing is, it's very nice of you to think you're talking to Sarah Ferguson, but I thought you could be talking to Julianne Moore. I mean, or Jess. I mean, look, we've got long red hair. No. I actually, Matt, yes, you are talking to Sarah today, and I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much. And it's great to talk to you, actually, Matt, because you are a huge achiever too, and you're a real man of real life. And I've read a bit about you as well. So back at you, Matt, on huge achievement.
Thank you very much.
The second thing in answer to your question is that every day is good, and today is a day full of goodness, and you can either look at it that it's not, or it is. It's your choice, and I think to have a choice is the best thing. So don't have a choice, you don't have a choice, but to have a choice to choose to go into joy is what I try to do most of the day. How do I fit it all in? Because I wish to.
I love that answer, because I often get asked about balance myself, and how do you balance work and family? How do you balance hobbies and this? And my answer always is that I don't think I balance, I just do. And if you want to do something, you get on and do it, and ultimately you find a way to fit it all into the day. And the things you don't want to do don't get done. And if you're passionate enough about achieving the things you do want to achieve, then they do seem to find their way to fitting into the day and fitting into life.
Somebody the other day said to me, when I was walking along the street, and someone came up and said, "Oh, you look just like Fergie." And I said, "Well, guess what? I am Fergie." Oh, wait, could I have a selfie? And I went, "Yeah, sure. And they gave me a huge smile. And my friend who was walking with me, Mark, he said, "I hope you took in that nice smile." And I suddenly stopped, and I thanked him for such a compliment, because you don't often hear that moment when he turned to me and said, "Did you receive that smile from that person?" And I suddenly realized maybe I should stop and take a beat more often to receive, and instead of always giving the smiles, which I love to do, but sometimes stop and just say thank you. Yeah, how kind of you. It's really interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it is, but very much so. And I guess it's amazing to see what a difference people like yourselves, or in a microscopic way people like me make on people's lives, and the smiles it brings, the inspirations, and how you can very much change someone's life by just being you.
Yes. I mean, Matt, don't you think in your day when you're doing this podcast, don't you think, oh, it's fun. What are we going to learn from each other? This is not just me talking to you. It's talking, oh, I've read about Matt. What am I going to learn from Matt? And how can we have a good dialogue and make it fun? I don't understand anything else really, Matt, I'm afraid. It's not about, I always say to the girls, it's not about you got to show up with your heart or don't show up, really. It's do it because you want to do it. Just like you started this interview or this podcast saying, I'm recording now, but it's really the passion for what you do, and you can do anything if you have that passion. I don't know why I've got my glasses on, because I'm not reading anything, so that's good.
but like you say as well, it's about going into situations and thinking, and wanting to know what you can learn from them. And I think for me, that's why I started these podcasts, and that's for me very much my kind of attitude to day and life and business. And I was having this conversation with one of my business partners, the other night, and I think, I always think one of my reasons for success is my desire to always be learning off other people, off people who have achieved more than me, off people who've achieved different things to me. And I always say about these podcasts that, you know, I have an organic chat with great people, and there's no way that by the end of it there won't be, you know, great nuggets of information that, you know, that my audience can take away and that I can take away, because everybody from any walk of life has got something to offer, something to give, and a different perspective on things.
I like the way you use nuggets. I use nuggets too, in my speeches. You know, I want everyone to walk away going, "Oh, I take that nugget with me." And the other thing is, you said with your business partners, just one split second, I need to ask you, Matt, what would you like to achieve? What's your dream? I don't want to say a 5-year timeline, because when people say to me, "What's your 5-year vision?" I went, "Are you joking? I'm 62. I'm not going to. Let's hope I make it for the next 5 years." You know, but what is your vision?
I mean, without being too granular on it, I love solving problems, and I guess I love achieving things that either I thought were difficult, or even more so than that, that people tell me I can't do. So I mean, my line of business is finance and investment. You know, I invest in all kinds of different UK companies, and as a kind of a general business, I can't see myself doing anything any different until the day I die, because I love what I do, and I love the fact that even though investing may be the same, the businesses I deal with and the personalities behind those businesses change every single day. So, you know, I never know how the phone's going to ring, or sorry, what the voice is going to say on the other end of the phone when it rings each day. And I just, you know, I love to find a problem, I love to solve it, and I guess I just want to keep doing that for, you know, the next 5 minutes, 5 years, 25 years.
Excellent. And what do you decide you're going to invest in? How do you get the dream? Is it everything, or is it very focused?
Um, I like to say that I only invest in things, or only fund things that I understand. You know, I mean, I'm sure that means I turn away many opportunities from, you know, from potentially great businesses and potentially great sectors. But, you know, I I don't, for example, understand, you know, technology or biotech, or you know, very specialist sectors like that. You know, I always say I'm a kind of a meat and potatoes guy that, you know, likes to buy for a pound, sell for two, and try and control things in the middle. So for me, it's very important to understand the business. Once I understand the business, it's super important to have well, either people running the business or potential business partners that I like and that I trust, and I think are going to be as passionate about their job as I am about mine. Because, you know, whilst they aren't, let's say, financial ingredients, you know, without them, it's probably not going to be successful, and it's certainly not going to be fun. And I just think I'm at a stage in life where, as much as I want to make the money, I want to enjoy it, you know, enjoy it as many steps of the way as well.
Okay, so Matt, after when we finish the podcast, you and I are going to meet very soon, because well, in 1989, 1990, we were on Saturday morning 9 a.m. on Fox in America as the number one animated cartoon in America. And so I think that we can get all our characters back. I think I know exactly how Paw Patrol runs, and so I think we've got that with Budgie and the Dronauts, and my latest book, and Little Red. Definitely, Little Red is going to be the first giveaway doll, and she's a symbol of hope. And in fact, I can show you Little Red. She's waiting in the next room, but I'll show you Little Red. Little Red is, of course, um, my ambassador for building primary education globally. I work as a global ambassador for Montessori schools, and next week we announce Little Red's Play in a Box, and it's really a rucksack or a box that arrives for the displaced children all over the world, anywhere in the world, that I believe a child that is running from Ukraine or Yemen or Syria or Afghanistan or I mean, 84.5 million displaced people last year, and those children, where is their hope? And so, Little Red, she's been to Poland, she's been to the Ukraine. I should have my Ukraine ribbon on, but anyway, here she is, and Poland and Ukraine here. And so, Little Red is going to next week announce the Play in a Box with Montessori schools, UNHCR, and the European Bank of Development. And I think Little Red, well, this is the doll, and we'll make more of these, which will be given away for free. But with it becomes the books and the merchandising, the licensing. So very big business for Matt to look at. And then you are going to now, I have decided, make this into an Oscar-winning film, or you could make it into a TV series and we could get it out there. And I think it fits in between Bridgerton and the Gilded Age. I think this has got really strong legs. Julianne Moore should be playing Lady Margaret. And of course, yes, it is Matt in here. It's been my dream for 25 years. Do you think I could have a tissue, please? It's been my dream for 25 years to write a novel. And of course, it's about the experiences and experimenting with experiences of this redhead you're talking to today. So it's very exciting. It's not just throwing out a novel, it's passionate. And every line was me growing with Lady Margaret, thinking that I couldn't write a novel. I'm useless, or I can't do this, can't do that. And then when I started doing it, I realized, oh, okay, I can do this, because I think you put yourself in the smells of the East End of London in 1870. And what was it like? And why should a woman have to do exactly as she was told? And what were the rules? And once you started to escape into history and into writing, you realize that, of course, your day is so much better because you've turned that doubting Thomas brain off, the self-sabotage, the self-esteem, and all that. You can't do it, you're this, you're that. And you've thrown yourself into what it really must have been like in Scotland and in London and the slums, and people coming back from the Crimea War, and so that's when I wrote this book. I mean, I'm pretty excited, very excited.
How long did it take to write?
It took, would you believe, it took the pandemic. So I wrote it. I've wanted to do Lady Margaret for 15 years, and I wrote it during the pandemic. And that's when, of course, I met Aileen Marguerite Kay, who's just wonderful. Marguerite Kay and I did this, and she taught me how to do it. She taught me how to write a novel, and she took me by the hand. Now, of course, Margaret Kay has written close to 60 books for Mills and Boon, but it's the first time that, and William Morrow out of New York is my publisher, and Rachel Kahan at William Morrow went to Lisa Milton at HarperCollins and Mills and Boon. And of course, how fantastic to be part of News Group Empire in order to bring this out. And it's all about getting on with it. It's the first time Mills and Boon in 100 years has been on the Sunday Times bestseller list because of Lady Margaret. And so I'm very excited that I've just finished my next book, An Intriguing Lady, comes out in February of next year. And I think that could be your movie, Matt, or it could be a TV series. But whatever it is, the good news about it is, and when I did Young Victoria, and we won an Oscar for Best Costume with Julian Fellowes writing the screenplay, it was pretty great because Julian and I were able to go out and do the marketing of the Young Victoria. And it was pretty great to, Emily Blunt played a brilliant Victoria with Rupert Friend. And I say this all the time, if we do this, of course, I am real and I am in the book. Funny that, my middle name is Margaret. So of course, the good news for any investor, hey ho, you got me to do the marketing.
Well, I will make sure I've read it before I get back to England and we talk about all our business plans.
Yes, please. Where are you, by the way, then, if you're not in England?
I'm in Monaco at the moment, actually.
Nice.
I live in Dubai in the winter and the south of France in the summer. So I've been back on this side of the world for the last couple of weeks now. So I've been at the Grand Prix. I've been kind of entertaining clients and investors, and I've stayed on for a few extra days here to try and do some more meetings.
Oh, Matt, that's fantastic. That's fantastic because I was a Grand Prix groupie when I was 21. I had Bernie, I had Paddy McNally at the Paddock Club, I had Nicky Lauda, John Watson, Ayrton Senna. That we were all in the Marlborough motorhome, and I kept being told, "Go on then, Fergie, go and chat that client up, go and chat that person up." And so, yes, I know the Grand Prix circuit well. How lovely.
Do you still go? Do you still go to any races?
Well, I'm Bernie Ecclestone. I'm a big Bernie Ecclestone fan. So I go with my heart with Bernie, and I love going to the race. I go to the Bahrain Grand Prix because I love the Kingdom of Bahrain. It stands for kindness, and they give kindness, and they are an extraordinary group of people, which is why I have the Bahrain flag here, because my little red is the example of kindness in the Kingdom of Bahrain. She went and made a speech in December, actually, little red did. So yes, I do go to races, and I'm fascinated. I think it's come a long way, but I'm just take my hat off to what Bernie achieved.
I actually went to I went to a Formula E race earlier in the year as well, which was a completely different experience.
I hope I haven't lost you, Matt, but I'm going to keep talking. Hopefully, oh, there we are.
Oh, sorry.
No, Alejandro Agag. Yes, well, Formula E, they've done very well, haven't they? They really have done very well, and it's a completely different thing, because I love the start of the Grand Prix when you hear and the cars start racing, and then Formula E, it's sort of like off it goes. And no, that wasn't me making the noise that we've gone off. It was me making the noise of the Formula E cars. But you see, Matt, I think you're right. I think life is to literally enjoy. It's so fragile, and the most important thing for me and in my world is to get onto the borders of Poland, Romania at the moment with all the Ukraine situation, and just be there, not trying to, sort of fly the flag for yourself. It's fly the flag for the voice of silent whispers, for the children that just need to have a moment of something that takes them away from the fears of dad might never come home, mum's permanently in tears because she's lost everything and she's frightened for dad, and the children just don't know what to do. So if I'm thinking of David and Sophie in particular now, because Olga, mum, told me that story, and she's in Warsaw, and all she wants to do is go back to Ukraine to rebuild her country. And David and Sophie has autism. David is 5, Sophie's 3, and at 4 a.m, she ran across the border, carrying Sophie and David, trying to find an ounce of anything, and what she needed was hope. And she got to Warsaw. I met Olga, and I'm now telling you, Matt, the story, because then that's why I'm going back next week with Croatia to do Play in a Box, because I think that's what David and Sophie need, is to take their mind off the fears so that they can have the legacy of growing up believing in hope.
And tell me, I mean, obviously, other than your fantastic energy that you must impart on these people during their times of crisis and times of need. I mean, how do you talk to people in this situation? I mean, obviously, like myself, you're someone who's obviously suffered downs as well as ups, and bounced back, etc. But I mean, as much as we talk about ups and downs, I mean, these people have got downs that would be unimaginable to 99% of the rest of the world. I mean, what do you say? How do you coach them on the comeback?
Well, the first thing you do is you don't speak, you listen. It's imperative. You sit, you take the time, you turn the telephone off, and you just sit, and you're there, and you're just putting your hand out with friendship. And I can't imagine what you're going through, Olga. I really can't. Please explain to me. Explain to me how what it must have been like at 4 a.m. What, the rats in the cellar. How did you see the rats? And did you think that they were going to eat your children? And please tell me what it was. And then the more that she starts to talk and says, oh, I just need to go home, and I don't know what to do about my mum, and I can't find her. And the more that she starts talking, the more she cries, the more she talks, the more you just keep listening. I think I learned that from Wanda. She had cystic fibrosis, and she was dying in a hospital in Kansas City, and I remember it so well. And I went, just walked past the door, and the nurse said, no, she's not very well at all. So I said, no, I don't want to disturb her. Oh my gosh, no. So I kept walking, and her mother came out and said, no, she wants to talk to you. She wants to talk to you. So I went back in, held her hand, sat with her. And I just said, here I am. And she said, do me a huge favor. please, please, I think I'm going to die soon, but would you be able to tell all the doctors and nurses that they can't possibly understand how awful it is to have cystic fibrosis? So don't keep coming into the room saying, we understand, because they don't. And I realized then and there, I became the ambassador for cystic fibrosis in Poland last year, actually, and got the government to make sure that they gave medication to children of Poland, but with suffering from cystic fibrosis. But in my head, that was about 20 years ago, I met Wanda. And when you ask me, how do you do it? You just remember Wanda. How can you possibly believe that you understand? Your entire country's blown up. It looks like Olga said, Mars. Nothing is there. So you can't. So the only thing you can do is hold your hand out with friendship, see if you can help David and Sophie bring hope, and perhaps go to the mayor of Warsaw and say, what can I do to help Olga and all lots of people like Olga have some support?
Fantastic. I mean, I'd love to hear more of these stories. I mean, like, you know, it's
have a little boy. There's a boy. Here's Little Blue. It's not just Little Red. It's Little Blue as well. And I invented them. Little Blue was invented in 1992 for the children of Poland, and Little Red was invented in Oklahoma City for the children of America. And both are symbols of education, and hope. And I'm also, you'll be glad to know, I'm a great supporter of the LGBTQ plus, and I'm really, really supportive of that. And the other day I made a speech and I walked on and there was about 1,000 people, and I walked up on stage and I said, well, I'm not going to make a very long speech. I'm simply going to thank you, because it's the first time I've not been judged in a room in my life, in my public life, because of course, there's no judgment. Everybody can be exactly what they wish to be. And it was a really freeing moment. And then I got off the stage, and I think being a redhead and born in 1959 as a redhead, you are always sort of put in the corner as strange and weirdo because you've got very red hair. Carrots springs to mind. So you're always in that sort of situation. So I think it's great. It's great. Life is good, and we just got to seize it.
Well, tell me, I'm obviously conscious of your busy schedule, and there's one thing I'd like to ask before we do go. Obviously, we've talked a lot about, I guess, so many stories and so much experience you've got to give. But as a grandmother now, if you were to give one piece of advice to your grandchildren about, I guess, life, business, the future, what would that be?
Well, August is 15 months and Sienna is eight months. And I look at them already and I communicate with them. I think it's just sort of sort of communication, which is fantastic. But I look at them and I think, oh, goodness, always allow a child, or in my case, my grandchildren, to be who they are. If August at the moment wants to play with trains and tractors, but if he wants to play with Barbies, that's okay too. And Sienna at the moment wants to play with cuddly teddy bears and very pink things. But if she wants to go and play with trains and tractors, well, then they can share, can't they? So that's all good. Whoopsie. Says no battery anyway. And so I think, Matt, my advice to not just my grandchildren, but it's to my children too, is how do you feel? How do you feel? Does this make you happy? Do you feel you are doing it because you wish to, or are you trying to please, or are you trying to overachieve, or where are you in all of this? And I think the key is to I was brought up, oh, don't ever think of yourself. You're too selfish. And of course, then you never think of yourself. And then you go and make endless wrong decisions, take the wrong roads, and the Daily Mail writes about it. So, hey ho. But you got to get up and you got to say, right, well, okay, how do I feel? So I teach my grandchildren the same way as I've taught my two beautiful girls, who are the best ambassadors for, I might say, good mothering, because I'm a darn good mum.
They've been taught by the best.
Thank you, Matt. I think it's pretty exciting for anyone watching or anyone listening. and they think, oh, it's all right for you, you can do it, or it's all right for Matt, that he can do it. Is it really? It's not. We have the same issues every day. We have the same beliefs. In my case, I have been, as everyone knows, up and down, but we get on, and we keep realizing how lucky we are, and we keep being grateful. And at 62, to be a debut novelist and to be able to talk to you about being and achieving being a novelist, it's kind of huge, really.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to reading the books, and I'd love to catch up with you when I'm next in England, and we can make our diaries match, and we can talk about our future plans for intellectual property domination.
Now you're talking my language, Matt. You see, this is yeah. By the way, how old are your children?
So I have one a daughter. She is 16 in about 2 months' time.
16. Excellent. Okay, guess why?
Why?
I just finished my first young adult book for 16-year-old.
Oh, really?
It's called Demon's Land. It's like Dawson's Creek, and I will send her a book immediately, and it's coming out. It's launched in the next few days, and it's already been booked for 500 schools in Australia as a really good read for young people going through mental health issues like I did, and eating disorders and all these kind of things. And it's a good novel. It's a good ripping read.
Well, she's genuinely an absolutely avid reader anyway. So so I will make sure that as soon as it arrives, she slots it to the top of the reading list.
I've got an idea, Matt. Why don't we do your podcast with your daughter interviewing me about Demon's Land? Because then she would seriously be able to get all her friends to be an influencer for Demon's Land. I mean, that is a seriously good idea.
Right, you're on. So if this is the ideas and the plans we can make in 27 minutes, imagine what we can do over lunch.
Yes, well, we might have to make it 6 o'clock, so we go on for about a good 5 hours and a few bottles of white wine, I think, don't you?
Oh, red for me, but
what kind of red? Pinot?
No, I'm actually a massive Bordeaux fan. California cabs or Bordeaux. But if that's not your style, we can have one red and one white, and we can.
You can have the strong Bordeaux, and I'll have the light Pinot, and we'll be away.
It sounds like a date.
Okay, perfect, Matt. Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank you very much for being here, guys. Thank you very much for listening.
Oh, I better say that. Oh, heart for a compass, off you go.